Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back. We are on our third episode of Go for Broke, and guess what? I got the two guys back. So we got Connor and we got Zach again back. And first things first, our disclosure. By now, I think you can figure out from our LinkedIn profile that you know where we work, and by no means this has any representations from where we work. Again, we're not professional advisors. It's just purely our opinion and what we see in the market space. Again, Connor is a couple years in the workforce. Zach here is a couple years into the workforce partially. He was part-time and he went for his master's. And I myself have been in the financial industry for over almost 2 decades now, sad enough to say. So with that being said, today's topic, let's first things first, banks. We talk a lot about banks, the relevancy of, from your generation. My generation, where a lot of those apps like Venmo, PayPal, and things like that, it just wasn't around. But now, with all those apps, how do you see bank kind of functions in your life?
So first and foremost, still it serves as kind of the place of storing your money. It's still like the primary way of doing it. But like you said, with those apps, it is kind of becoming less popular to do more of like the bank transfer route. If I need to pay you, I don't need your account number and things like that. So pretty much those apps have kind of replaced that function of the bank. But as far as storing money and access to different things like loans or whatever you want to do, I would say banks kind of still remain supreme in that.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines as Zach. It's where you store money, where you go to get loans, other, I guess, financial products that really are only offered with banks.
So, okay, couple aspects, right? So we all work, we all have now, we don't take a paycheck anymore. I mean, majority of us uses direct deposit. So direct deposit in theory can go to any one of those viable electronic platforms like Venmo and things like that. But still, traditionally, the place of choice is still a traditional institution, like a bank, whereas a brick and mortar. Now, just out of curiosity, when was the last time you were actually in a bank, or even if you can remember, actually going into a bank for a transaction?
Well, I have to go into a bank every month to deposit my rent.
Okay.
I necessarily don't have to, and like you said, with those apps, I could theoretically transfer it, but something about still the trust factor of a bank kind of makes me feel better that I'm walking in, going, hey, please deposit this in this account, and then I watch a person do it, and then they hand me a receipt, something like that. There's still some security in that feeling, so.
Okay.
I think mine was to get a credit card replaced, because I lost it.
Okay.
That's it.
But I think a lot of us, more than once, we have had credit cards either stolen or misplaced or whatever, and we would just go out and actually, you know what you call, first thing you do, you actually don't go to a branch.
Go to the Chase app
Or the 1-800 number, right? That would be the first course of action, right? That's the first thing you do. It's like, hey, my card's gone. All right, let me grab my phone. Call the plate, lock my account, especially if it's your debit card.
Yeah.
Credit card, I think you call it credit card.
Yeah, the problem was when I did it is I had just moved. So when you just move, you can't order a new card within like 2 weeks of you changing your address. So they think it's fraud immediately, which is probably a good thing. But, so I had to go in, and they were like, we don't do that here. You have to go online. So I did. You told me to come in. They were like, no, go online.
So I would say that from what I'm hearing, even in your early and mid-20s, that a physical bank still has its place. It might not be as prevalent as prior, but in today's age, it's still a need. Now, I think we kind of talked about this offline a little bit. Banks are starting to evolve their image, meaning that like large institutions like a Capital One, and I'm not advertising for them, or Chase, or any of those places, but the larger institutions have been building out their branches to be more friendly, and they're calling it a place of exchange, a cafe, in fact. What do you guys thought about that? Is it, you think it's going to grab hold? I mean, obviously the research shows some type of signs that it could be effective, right? But us being in Southern California has always been a guinea pig. Will you go to one and just hang out?
So I worked in one of those branches,
Okay.
like the hybrid branches basically, where it's more of a simple layout. There's not as many people. There's more ATMs, and there's usually no tellers. That's
Really?
primarily
Okay.
how they do it now. Is they just want your transactions to be through the machines, and if you need to talk to a banker, there's usually 2 or 3 in there, but that's about it. Versus your traditional all the cubicles with all the banks. As far as the hanging out aspect, we had it set up the same way where there was a couch, there was coffee you could serve yourself, and there was like TVs in there with just different information going across it. And it was a good idea, but the feeling I always got is no one was really there to hang out. Everyone, I mean, it was nice to have those amenities, but it was pretty much still a just get in and get out kind of business as fast as you can. I think it's a good idea, but I think the banks will kind of retract it and just realize that the thing people want are the amenities and not necessarily a hangout spot in a bank.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would go to one of those if I needed to go to the bank and I wanted coffee. I'm not going to go there to hang out and drink coffee and then maybe do something at a bank.
Okay, so let's take another step forward for a second. Someone just turned 16, 17 years old. They're probably either getting ready to go to college or on the path or whatever, right? Do you suggest them getting a checking and savings account at a traditional bank? Is this still a viable?
I would say I would get a bank account as soon as you can. There are accounts available for even children where you can get your kid a bank account that you have ultimate control of the card. I believe all they can do is withdraw money out of an ATM.
Okay.
That's the only thing they can do. I don't see the purpose of carrying cash anymore. It seems like just a risk that you might lose that cash. And just kind of managing a bank account at an early age is just definitely something everyone should be doing.
Yeah, I think you should have a bank account from, like Zach said, the earliest stage possible. I think the one thing, I guess you just need to be aware of what your kid's doing when they have it. And like Zach said, there's ways of monitoring it. There's certain now companies that market towards, hey, here's a bank account for your kids that you monitor. I think you can put transaction limits on things, all of that. You can make them not let them pull out cash, all of those things. So yeah, I think it's important to have a bank account from the earliest age possible, so you gain some sort of responsibility.
Yeah, because for myself, I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and both of them have a bank account, obviously, because we put savings and things like that, and college funds and things like that. But as my 17-year-old starting to turn 18 and is going to be entering the first year of college, we don't use electronic. I mean, I'm a little bit more old school. I'm still using a traditional bank platform. And so that's why we do need bank for those guys. But it is good to hear that, even at your age, your perception at this moment in time, it is still a necessity for us to have a bank account at a brick and mortar. I'm for it. Now, that's just a personal side with regards to just personal finances. We'll get to a different episode with regards to institution, meaning like business, things like that. While these guys might not know the day in and day out transaction as often, what I would say is that they do work within their work to see how relevant it is. Because what I would allude to is that business transaction, like larger commercial loans on like that, I think the business is still much more viable in a brick and mortar. So just keep that in mind. All right, keeping this light. We gotta shift gear. Super Bowl's over, and you made your prediction correct, and I forgot.
No, I had Bengals.
Well, my score was wrong, but
Okay. So this is okay. Connor's the guy that loves to read the statistics, the odds within the lines. Tell us what was the final analysis of? Did they cover it, and what were some of the scenarios?
so they didn't cover the final line. It closed at 4. It was moving all week. I think it started at 4, went down to 3.5, back to 4, up to 4.5, down to 4, 4.5, 4. So it was bouncing all over the place. So it was Rams -4, obviously didn't cover, his 23-20 final. The total was also at 48.5, so that didn't hit either. So Bengals covered and the under hit, which basically nobody put money on.
I forgot what I picked. I think I wanted the Bengals.
Yeah, most people wanted the Bengals.
Because they were underdogs.
Yeah.
But look, I'm from the LA area. I am happy that they did win. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of my family members were happy, but you definitely lost. But anyways, It's lights out. With that being said, come back for another episode of Go for Broke. Thanks a lot, you guys. Peace out.